Welcome everyone to the showdown between the Empire, who shall be led by Markus Wolfhart, and today guys, we're going to be hunting some elusive prey in the form of Deathmaster Snitch and the Skaven. I feel like that would be something that would happen in lore as well. Like Karl Franz is like, you know what, there's some giant assassin rat running around our kingdom. Markus, you go take care of that stuff. Who knows. Anyways, as far as the build goes, here in the front line, it's going to be a combination of the swordsmen and spearmen, and honestly, you don't really need much more to deal with Skaven. It's nice to mix in a couple spearmen as well, because they can fight Skaven slaves and clan rats, and if your opponent does come in with some rat ogres or more aggressive large units, you also get that bonus versus large. So we have those guys in the front line, including the Sigmar Sons here in the middle. On top of that, 2 free company militia, which have been changed. They can now fire while moving, so if you're advancing on something or pressuring a position, these guys can shoot and move, which is kind of helpful. They can't 360 shoot, so they can't turn and like shoot over their shoulder, so it's not super powerful, but nonetheless, it's a nice little buff for those guys. So 2 of them, including one on the far side. And as far as our cav goes, we do have 2 groups of the Knights of the Blazing Sun. So one back here, and there's going to be one over here as well. This one group is basically going to be babysitting in the back because it's the new DLC. Skaven, of course, have Eshin Triads, Death Runners, all sorts of spooky stuff that can be Vanguard, and I wasn't sure what King was going to bring, so I decided to leave one group of the Knights back here just to watch my cannons, since it's a pretty big investment. If you just compromise my cannons with some Eshin Triads or Death Runners, I'd pretty much just lose the game. So 2 groups of the Knights of the Blazing Sun, Markus Wolfhart coming in with his bows and all of his goodies, and up in the sky we do have an Amethyst Wizard. So whenever I bring Markus, I think a really nice compliment to him is also using the Amethyst Wizard. You get a lot of value out of those Spirit Leeches, and Fate Abuna, I probably shouldn't have brought that. I probably should have brought like Doom and Darkness or some of those other leadership spells, but if they do bring some elite troops like Stormvermin or Council Guard, at least you do have it. But yeah, in my experience, guys, just bring Spirit Leech, maybe save the money. You don't even need to bring much else, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So 2 groups of Huntsmen as well. Huntsmen, of course, from the Hunter of the Beast DLC, a very nice addition against any Skaven force. 160 range, really good against weapons teams, which tend to have a little bit lower range, like Death Winds and the Rattling Gunners. Plus, they have bonus for large against Hell Pits and Rat Ogres as well. So 2 of those bad boys going to be backing up their boy Markus here. And last but not least, we have 2 cannons. So the cannons, of course, staples against Skaven as well. Very good against weapons teams, good against the big targets, good against their artillery if they have like a Zap Cannon or a Plague Claw Catapult. You're not going to go wrong with these great cannons here. So that's pretty much it for our force. I don't think I missed anything. And now for the army of King of the Dead. A very interesting army for sure, and solid. Clan Rats, Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers. For his leadership, he does have the Deathmaster himself and the dreaded Eshin Sorcerer, who does have Brittle Bone and Armor of Darkness, and it looks like Veil of Shadows. For his weapons teams, he does have the Natty Bubo Sharpshooters, of course, always a staple. Good to be going after my Pistoliers, which I did neglect to mention. I do have 2 of those. But this is really the X factor here. He has a couple of groups of standard Deathglow Bombardiers, which I believe did get a minor tweak in this DLC to their explosions. I'm not quite sure, but they seem to do a bit of damage for sure if they can sit on their target. So very interesting for sure. It's kind of this like slow roll kind of advancing army that can really wreck my infantry more than Skaven armies usually can. So Eshin Triads here, some Eshin Triads on the other side as well, defending the Deathglow Bombardiers, and some Warp Grinders in the back. So very much including a lot of the new stuff and some old stuff as well. So let's see how this battle goes. His snipers here able to get some good value against my Pistoliers on the flanks. I thought there'd be some freebies, so I was coming in to try and poke and get some work in against some of the Rat Ogres, but he did pull those guys back. And basically, I'm just going to be taking some globes to the face, although we do get some shots. So Markus is going to be coming in, cannons shooting at the Natty Bubo Sharpshooters, which of course are a big value target to get rid of there. And Markus does get a decent snipe on the Deathmaster because he was revealed by my Pistoliers. So able to get some good eyesight on those guys and potentially get some sniping in. Free Company Militia going to be coming forward, shooting at the Globadiers as well. They have 85 range against my 90, and as soon as I was in range, I was like, I should probably get back. I feel like those Globadiers, if they get any volleys off, will just like one-shot my Free Company Militia here, so I will be pulling back at this point, but I do lose a couple Pistoliers, which is unfortunate. Now the main fighting's about to be underway. You can see Sigmar Sons and company are rearing and ready to go. Markus and the Huntsmen all going to be focusing down the Natty Bubo Sharpshooters, who look to have approached the front line simply so they could counter shoot against the Great Cannons, but I think at this point it's probably too little too late for those Sharpshooters, as they are going to be getting shreked pretty bad here by all the Huntsmen focus fire. So they have silver shields, which helps quite a bit actually, but -9 right here with the cannon fire coming in, they should buckle and run. Free Company Militia going to be engaging in the front line against some Clan Rats, I think, or no, we're actually going to be pulling them back here and sending in the Spearmen. And Knights of the Blazing Sun going to be doing a fat, just juicy Sigmar charge right down the pipe here. Going to be getting some good damage here against these Clan Rats, but Eshin Triads are coming up, other troops like that, and I actually didn't see them because they have stock, so they got really close, and he did summon some clones behind me. Really beautiful play by King, and actually pinned in my Knights of the Blazing Sun. So actually a rather disastrous situation, losing a very expensive cav unit for almost nothing. So in the center, Sigmar Sons going fisticuffs here with the Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers. And talk about a massacre. Sigmar Sons showing why they are the heirs of Sigmar himself, just doing excellent work here against the Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers. How is that one so one-sided? I feel like they would at least do some damage back. Anyways, Rat Ogres are coming in. Huntsman and Markus shooting at the Deathglow Bombardiers, and cannons are continuing to shoot downtown after the snipers and the Globadiers and some of those other high-value assets. Now in the back, I do have some Knights of the Blazing Sun in reserve, and my Death Wizard I accidentally forgot about over there, so he'll be joining the battle in just a moment, don't worry guys. And we do get a net with Markus, so the Triads and these other troops were surging into my back line, so I net them down, I get some Spearmen to kind of intercept those guys, but more importantly, it locks them in place and allows the Knights of the Blazing Sun to come in, and they're not braced right now, they're all moving about, so the Knights of the Blazing Sun get a huge fiery charge into them, but the problem for me is, a lot of these rats here are actually clones, only like half of them are the actual ones, I didn't really know. So yeah, we mainly actually charged the clones, so very well played to King right there. So as far as the bounce of power goes, it's pretty darn even right now. He is able to buckle my flanks, and my Free Company Militia try to get sneaky and go around, but they got forced off the map here by some Skaven slaves and Rat Ogres, so a bit of an unfortunate situation for me. Knights of the Blazing Sun going to be pulling back in to just kind of reorient themselves and charge into these Clan Rats and Eshin Triads that are advancing into my back lines, but here we do have a good firing core, so you can see Markus Wolfhart and the Huntsman getting some good shots, but the Deathmaster's coming in. He smells blood in the water, and my net is on cooldown. I just used it. King obviously knows that, and it looks like there's some Triads coming in from the other side as well, so the Free Company Militia here are going to be aiming their pistols, getting some solid shots into these guys, and you know, they're pretty squishy. They do have decent physical resist, but only 20 armor, but Free Company Militia should be able to actually scrap in combat and do some decent work. So we do get a Deathmaster Sigil cast on Markus here, and Markus is now in combat here with the Assassin, but I do have an Amethyst Wizard helping as well, who has pretty good mass. So we're actually getting some good damage, and you can see all the Huntsmen shooting into Deathmaster as well. But Rat Ogre's coming in, going to be a bit of a dangerous situation. Whirl of Weeping Blades going down. Granted, it doesn't do any damage really to single entities, and realizing my position is about to be compromised here, I basically just send in my Pistoliers to kind of muck things up and provide some mass to hold this advance back. Now both cannons are still shooting. I believe they're shooting at the Natty Boobo Sharpshooters downtown. Bounce of Fire is still pretty even. Veil of Darkness going down, which did distract my Huntsman. It kind of keeps him from shooting, but it doesn't really do any damage. And finally, Markus's net does come off cooldown right when Brittle Bones is active, so suddenly, you know, his melee defense is 0. I need to get out of here ASAP. Very, very bad situation. Deathmaster Snitch is being focused on by the Pistoliers a little bit. We do, of course, have Spirit Leeches up in the sky that we can drop on him if we need to, but more importantly, the Huntsmen are getting back, which is quite substantial because they're going to be able to crossfire, shoot at some of these Ogres, and hopefully do some good work. But again, the advance of the Skaven is still quite strong. We have the Deathglow Bombardiers coming in here, getting some shots. The Warp Grinders are coming up, so there's going to be kind of a secondary wave of pressure. But really, the biggest thing for me this game is to get Markus away, get him shooting, and make sure that this Eshin Sorcerer doesn't actually assassinate him in the name of Deathmaster. He's not running. Concealment Bumps is active, so he must have popped it before he broke, but alas, I did see him in the evil Amethyst Wizard. The Cackling Warrior himself is going to be chasing down Deathmaster Snitch and hopefully making sure he doesn't come back to the battlefield and cause more problems. So there we go. Should be able to get him off here, but the Skaven still have a lot of stuff. They have Ogres everywhere, they have these Deathglow Bombardiers, and a lot of the bounce of power in this battle is currently focused on the fact that I do have 2 cannons firing with good ammo. But for example, if the Rat Ogres or some of these other troops were able to surge in here and shut down my Great Cannons, that could be pretty disastrous. Oh, look at that! Warp Grinder's active right here, pinning down my Huntsman, and then on top of that, the Globadiers are throwing their bombs in, so pretty nasty combo right there. And you can see the Huntsmen are wavering, they're broken, so one of my big, units of firepower here is now gone. So Markus Wolfhart is able to stabilize. Some Pistoliers have come back from route, and Markus is going to be going after, I believe, we're going to be shooting the Eshin Sorcerer here in a minute, but I think the first shots, let's see what he's shooting. Oh, he's actually going after the Ogres, which again is probably not a bad choice, trying to get him off that cannon so we can get shooting once again. A bit of a resurgence from the Empire here on the far side. We have Knights of the Blazing Sun, we have Swordsmen, we have Spearmen, and this Great Cannon is now back as well. So that thing can kind of come back here. I actually pulled him off the artillery piece, and now we can charge him back in. But Mark is doing a pretty good job hunting down the Foul Rat Ogre here, and the Eshin Sorcerer is not a slouch in combat. 35, 40, 310 is able to jump on Markus and do some damage. So basically, we use the Pistoliers to kind of target that guy down, and Pistoliers have okay combat stats, I guess. 20 and 24 isn't the worst thing in the world. And of course, the Eshin Sorcerer does only have 20 armor, so he's pretty squishy in that respect. So from here, we get a decent little surround on the Eshin Sorcerer, and for the first time of the battle, the bounce of power does come into my favor just ever so slightly. We fly over, we get a Spirit Leech here on top of the Deathglow Bombardiers, and I actually thought these were like Stormrunner with halberds in the game, so you guys will see in just a second. I had a ton of Winds of Magic saved up. There is going to be a glorious Fate Abuna used on the Skaven Slave Spears, and during the game, King was like, are you just styling on me trying to use that Fate Abuna on my Skaven Slaves? But I was like, no, I actually thought they were something else. But anyways, here on the ground, Spearmen going to be surging into the Skaven Slaves. We also have Knights of the Blazing Sun getting trapped up once again by the Warp Grinder, so very well played there by King, getting that juicy Warp Grinder lockdown, but unfortunately for him, the Rat Ogres do break off and aren't able to really follow up, but it does shut down my Cab Charge, and also the Globadiers are able to get some last-minute shots. Markus Wolfhart and company here just going fisticuffs here with the Eshin Sorcerer, and it looks like he's at 4 leadership, he's at 7. This bad boy probably going to be breaking here in just a moment. Yeah, you can see he's going down. Markus is able to help fend off those Skaven slaves who were afflicted by the Fate Abuna, one of the best Bunas in the history of all of Warhammer, and from here, Markus Wolfhart can now shoot, and his ammunition's pretty good because he spent a lot of this game actually running. So we're just going to be shooting into this blob of Skaven, going after the Globadiers and some of the other assets in the Skaven army that can still pose a threat to my Imperial force. So we do break off that Eshin Sorcerer. It took some sweet time. That guy was actually pretty tanky. He does have 40 melee defense and good physical resist, so he's much tankier than you would actually think. And the Sorcerer here going to be jumping in. Pistoliers should be able to finish him off, but really I have a lot of firepower coming back from all angles. I am able to get this cannon back online as well, and sorry about that phone notification. And the Great Cannon will be shooting downtown into the Rat Ogres as the Amber Bow comes in and just penetrates that one ogre, that one lone guy there, and that is going to be all she wrote for the dreaded Skaven. So well played. I think that's a pretty good build against Skaven. My play with the Free Company Militia was a little bit sloppy. I should have just kept him behind my main lines as a supporting unit. I got so excited to advance and shoot that I sent a couple of them up to their doom. Yeah, I feel like this build's pretty good. It can deal with most Skaven threats. The cannons can deal with artillery play and, the weapons team's play. Markus plus the Amethyst Wizard, very good at sniping Skrulk and Deathmaster, and having nets against like the Skaven Assassins is super useful. Pistolier's quite good as well. I think one thing that would have been pretty useful here maybe would have been some grenade launchers, just to kind of mow down the hordes of Skaven chaff, and they're also very good against Triad units, but King's build kind of caught me off guard. His Globadier play, like, I couldn't really take those frontline engagements, and it's kind of the same way he plays the Vampire Coast using the bombers. Like, I engage with my state troops, and normally against Skaven, like, they hold for a while, but in this case, with his Deathglow Bombardiers just dropping some hot fire on my guys, I was not able to hold long, and they really crumped me pretty good, so yeah, it was quite scary. So, as far as King's build, yeah, I think it was cool. The Eshin Sorcerer, of course, the Veil of Shadows just kind of sucks, but the other spells, the Armor of Darkness and Brittle Bones, are really, really good, especially against Empire Cav. Like, it makes the Empire Cav so vulnerable against Rat Ogre play, which is quite nice, because it slows them and puts their melee defense very, very low. So I like that for sure. I still think the summons are probably a little bit more effective for like getting on artillery pieces and just pressuring missile units. But yeah, the Eshin Sorcerer wasn't bad. He was tanky, took a while to bring him down, and ultimately it was a very close game. So well played to King. We had a couple of really good games, actually 4 in total, 2 of which were very, very good games. So I'm going to be casting both those. So stay tuned. The other one will probably be coming up tomorrow if this isn't the second one. I don't know the order in which I'm going to post them. But anyway, stay tuned, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this. And yeah, see you guys next time. Take care.